taking a look here at the defense coming out from the side of FaZe. It is going to be too easy here on the Roadhog, as Slasher was just mentioning as far as recent FaZe setups go. Shadowburn will be on the Genji. Raucus will be on the Ana. Factor Fiction on Reinhardt, Grego on the Lucio, and Forsaken on the Zarya. So a pretty standard lineup coming out here from FaZe. Not too many teams would want to run the defensive Genji here, but when that Genji is Shadowburn, I think FaZe is willing to take their chances.
He's one of the few players in the scene that I think it's always a good idea to put him on Genji. That's how dominant his performance on that hero is. So on the offense, as Slasher had mentioned, their double support is going to be Rolf and Adam in Zarya and Ana, respectively. Kai back on a Winston. Short4 is going to play an offensive Genji, so we will have a Genji v Genji battle. Rib and Mendo will round it out on both Reinhardt and Zarya.
Alright, and this is a case where a lot of times in the past when we saw the C9 roster, we might have seen Mendo on the Hanzo, but no Hanzo shenanigans coming out here, just a little bit more standard from the side of C9. Instead, Mendo taking up the Zarya mantle, where, again, you don't usually see Mendo play this as much, at least on the comp end of things. I certainly while streaming, of course, he played a bit of everything. So, here's see how Mendo Zarya works out here, as C9 right now not doing anything crazy, just pushing up the cart and looking for positioning.
I think one of the reasons that you see Mendo and Kai on the tanks that they're on is the Shadowburn factor. You need those beam tanks to be able to actually get damage onto Shadowburn. His deflect timing is so well orchestrated.
Take a look at Share4 right now. Share4 butting up with Kai, Genji, Winston dive-ins, of course, pretty darn strong. And take a look at Too Easy, Discord or bottom. Share4 very comfortable going to the backline with Kai. Raucus barely able to get away. And while that's going on, 2 kills come out here from the side of FaZe. So it's not the worst opening from C9, but they are a little bit off the mark. They get punished as a result, and now they're going to have to back out and regroup. And unfortunately, it does mean they're going to have to be facing Shadowburn's Blade on the next push.
Threw away an Earth Shatter pretty early. Rib didn't get anything out of it, and then he died immediately after. However, they did end up baiting out an Ana ultimate at the very least to kind of keep that economy in check.
So, right now, we do see C9 setting up once more. They will have the Transcendence. Wolf able to build that pretty quickly. It's going to be Transcendence versus Sound Barrier. And both teams are going to have a Dragon Blade, so pretty even on the ult economy side of things. We'll just have to see which comes out on top here in just a moment. But here we go. Share4 will get the Nano Boost to go along with it. Diving to the backline. Getting a little bit stymied, though. Does finally take out Grego, but Sound Barrier limits him to just one. And while that's going on, Shadowburn in the backline himself takes down Adam, so both sides trying out supports, but it's going to be FaZe. A little bit more momentum in this fight right now. C9 gang poked down, and it's looking like will be a FaZe hold.
I mentioned a little bit yesterday about how good Grego has been just using these sound barriers. It comes in, he doesn't get picked really early by the aggressive dive. Shore4 able to get the sound barrier off, and that's largely why that Dragon Blade was ineffective and somewhat negated. He has not had a moment or an ability out of place in the entire 2 days of this tournament so far. Grego's playing great on his Lucio, as we come to expect from him.
It's a case where even though Grego ended up dying there, Grego, of course, knows what Share4 is looking for, was able to just run him around for a long enough period of time that the damage really was mitigated, despite all that ultimate power being thrown into him. Now though, taking a look here, C9, Grouts on Surge going to be coming in from Mendo, pulls into all sorts of close quarters combat going in here, but again, it's Factor Fiction dropping the Earth Shatter, takes down Share4 early on. That damage threat is down, and here comes the Dragon Blade. Shadowburn moving to the back, grabs Wolf, looking for more, just diving on the support. Zen and Ana both being taken out by Shadowburn, and that's really all FaZe needs to hold for one more push. And you take a look at it, C9 will be down to their last push in just a moment here.
Their last push will be a pretty decent one at the very least. They should be able to combo this. They're running in right now, feeling like they have a decent advantage. They have 4 on the card. They're really going to try to get Shore4 and Adam working together. Adam's still about 10% away from the boost, but this is their last good push. Mendo gets slept, but there's not the cleanup available there. The hook comes in too late to grab him, but Shadowburn taking down Kai is going to give him mostly free reign, not having to worry about that Winston. Now the tanks are going down.
All right, well, here comes Dragon Blade and the Nano Boost. Share4 not wasting any time, takes down 1, grabs 2. Share4 on the assault, ends up with a triple kill, and C9 finally able to break through this FaZe defense. They still have to deal Factor Fiction, but they have the number advantage, and they're in a good position now to finish this out. Now, that being said, if FaZe can keep stalling things out the way they are right now, it might buy them time for a second wind. Forsaken has Graviton, and this might not be over yet, Hex.
They just got a couple really nice kills, though, taking down Shadowburn, and then Grego peaked a little bit too early, ended up getting hooked and taken out, so they do clean it up, and now they're in a tough position because they're not going to be able to set up any sort of defense for this shuttle phase if they continue to get chased down, which is exactly what's happening.
I'm not sure I like that there, just coming out from FaZe. I feel like they had the opportunity to maybe go for a 33% chance to end the game there or something. Then they backed out, but they didn't fully back out. They ended up getting picked anyways. The only upside about that, I guess, is that they didn't throw a Graviton after nothing, but that was just a little bit weird shot calling coming from FaZe. I mean, if you want to fully set up and hanger, set up and hanger. If you want to go for the last moment defense, go for the last moment defense. Don't do the weird in-between thing where you get the worst of both worlds.
Hanger's essentially 2 phases anyway, and they've already completed the first half, so there's not going to be a real high ground defense unless they get a good team wipe and are able to set it up. This progress they've already made is enormous.
Here comes Graviton to the back, and you see the threat that Ana presents to teams where Forsaken just willing to throw the Graviton on the Ana back. And meanwhile, while it's going on, Shadowburn has the Dragon Blade up and ready. Won't get as much for it as he wants. Grabs Shadowburn, not much else, and again, you look at who's on the card, it's Factor Fiction, drops the Earth Shatter, knocks down 2. It's going to be FaZe holding on off of this, and I gotta say, a lot of the big plays from FaZe thus far on Gibraltar here have been coming out of Factor Fiction. His Reinhardt play has been remarkably solid.
He does get a little bit over-eager there, taken out from the Discord. They're trying to equalize here and clean it up. A nice long-range shot from Too Easy on his right-click takes down Wolf, so that should slow down the aggression as well. Ultimates are somewhat even, both teams with an Ana up, but Shore4 has the Dragon Blade ready, and Shadowburn not going to have it for quite a bit.
You say that about Shadowburn and not having Ray for quite a bit, but every now, you gotta remember, it is still Shadowburn.
Fair point.
It's one of those things where Shadowburn very much comfortable in getting Dragon Blades up quickly, but here comes Shore4 going to the back, goes immediately on the Ana, going for the extra support kill, will take down Forsaken and Grego. It's a quick 3K here for Shore4. And once more, Shore4 opening the way here for C9. And it's honestly, it's good to see Shore4 more on Genji again. It's not that his McCree isn't phenomenal, it certainly is, but Shore4 is a unique class of player that really can do it all, and when you need a Genji, he's definitely one of the better Genjis you can have in your pocket.
Unique class is absolutely correct, as he can play every single one of those DPS. A lot of times right now you have a hit scan specialist and a projectile specialist. Shore4 does absolutely everything. He's in that same class with kind of Mendo and Tabik in that way.
Alright, C9, they still have a lot of momentum going forward here. Shadowburn will have a Dragon Blade in just months, so here's the key for C9. If they can deal with this Dragon Blade Sound Barrier combo that's coming out from FaZe in a moment, they might be able to finish the map outright. They do have some of the tools for it, they have a Transcendence, but it's always difficult when up against Shadowburn in a situation like this. Either way, and oh my goodness, Mendo takes on Shadowburn early, they're not going to have that, and C9 moving in for the kill. Shore4 will get knocked to the ground off the... Oh no! That is...
It's one way.
That is one way to deal with the Dragon Blading Nano Boosted Genji. Oh my goodness. Getting rid of the problem, but C9 is still pushing this in, Hex.
It's not that terrible, though, to take that trade right there because you're going to have the spawns, and you're just completely eliminating one of the biggest threats. So now they're turning it into a skirmish as Too Easy comes out on the Tracer. He gets a kill on Wolf, which is really nice for them. He eliminates the Discord. It's going to allow Fact Conviction to push a little more forward and be much more aggressive. They're pushing this back.
They are indeed pushing it back, and honestly, I still can't stop laughing over what happened to Shore4 there. That was one of the most honorable sacrifices we've seen, and honestly, it's letting FaZe come back into this. They're restabilizing. They're pushing C9 back, and C9 probably gonna have to just bite the bullet here and go for a full regroup, and they don't have much time, Hex. They have only 15 seconds, so I don't even know if they can go for a full regroup at this point.
Speaking of doing everything, Shore4 came up on the Bastion for a life. He left spawn and got killed with it. Now he's on the Tracer, but this is desperation time. Kaikai jumps in, gets Graviton, completely negates that Factor Fiction, trying to win it for his team.
Factor Fiction moving in once more, not able to get the kills he's looking for right away. C9 still in and on the point, and here we go. Dragon Blade coming out once more from Shadowburn. In the backline, has 2, 3, looking for the 4th. And it's not going to matter. Shadowburn has done the damage he needs to do, and FaZe will be holding here right before last.
One of the things about Shadowburn, what makes him such a great Genji, is his use of the mobility. He's often always in the sky. He uses that kind of ledge exploit, or ledge glitch if you want to call it, where you jump to a ledge, you continue the momentum, and he's always just so far in the air. That's how he's able to get to those back lines so cleanly. It's why he's such a joy to watch on some of the King of the Hill maps, where he's always in the air, always in the sky. You can have 2 beam tanks to try to focus him down, but he is so elusive, so alive all the time, and uses that mobility to its greatest advantage.
Alrighty, so just as an update here, and I'll double check on my end. I know people are mentioning about stream quality and all the rest, but everything looks fine on the encoding PC and otherwise. Like every now and then it screws up, but I think that it just might be something to do with all the internet stuff that's been going on. Slasher, I know you were talking about it before, where there's nodes getting and all the rest. It might be affecting stuff on Twitch. I don't really know, but
Twitch does look a little odd currently.
Is it just the stream or other streams as well?
Other streams too.
Okay, so I was gonna say, because if it's on our end, I'll more than willingly restart the stream, but I think it's just a case where it's a bad day for the internet.
Yeah, there was a giant infographic about all the websites getting hit right now, so it's apparently just an infrastructure problem, but we generally, or you generally, or more accurately, have the best Overwatch stream on the internet, so not our end. Blame, I don't know, the internet, blame hackers, blame Samba.
Consider only victory. Make defeat an impossibility in your mind.
All right, so we are moving in here into the second round. FaZe able to hold things out at the very end. C9, though, definitely had their moments. They were relying a little bit on Sheer4 to get things going. But we'll see how the defense works out here. Sheer4 will be representing the Mei early on here on Gibraltar. You don't always see Mei here, but I still think it's not the worst case, especially if teams do try and go through the underpass.
Probably one advantage that Cloud9 has just roster-wise and hero-wise over this FaZe squad is that they do have players who run a very good Mei. I've yet to be impressed by Shadowburn's Mei, at least not on the level I am of his Genji, so that could be a pick that's changes the scope of the battlefield a little bit. We'll see what he wants to get done here on the defensive Mei. It's going to be interesting to see where the offense tries to rotate through. You can kind of avoid this if you just all come through top and server room.
There are multiple ways of approaching Gibraltar. I think a lot of times there's cases where teams will go super finesse and try and go through server room, go all the way around in almost reverse positions.
Yeah, they're going
right
all
now.
the way
You
back.
take a look at FaZe. I feel like they're going just more standard here and just waiting for Shadowburn to build ult and almost going for a more brute force approach. But we will have to see. Lots of ways of going at this, especially if you get stopped a few times. And for now, it's like they're going more over the top.
Yeah, they pushed the payload through the archway so that they could take a different approach and have the payload meet them up over there. They're going to jump down in server room. They're really weary of that Mei wall, which has yet to come down, and now they're in a great position to completely negate any sort of effect by the Mei wall. So they just completely flipped the script. That rotation around by Mendo, though, gets a nice hook over top.
He's got a nice hook. Shadowburn right now will be going in. Gets slept right in the back. Not going to be able to pull a Dragon Blade like that. Gets taken out immediately. While this is going on, though, Factor Fiction swings hammer. Already has two. Gonna pick up the third off the Earth Shatter. And again, it has been the Factor Fiction show in many respects here over the last round and now into this round. Not sure if it's enough, though, as the C9 might be able to hold on the end, but they are starting to get overwhelmed.
Yeah, Forsaken and Factor Fiction have been playing really well in these tank plays. There was a Blizzard that came down early, took down two key components of this FaZe squad, but they were able to kind of gut it out and play very scrappy here. Now it's kind of reinforced all around the draw. Here comes a Dragon Blade, though.
Shadowburn gets back to fight. He died earlier because of that sleep. Didn't get to use Dragon Blade, used it later on, ends up taking out Adam again, using it to just isolate supports, and 2 kills here for FaZe. Much better chance of taking this back, but the Graviton comes in from Kai, pulls in 4 members of FaZe, and Shadowburn finds himself without a team.
You just saw the value of ultimates being completely different because you had a Graviton and a Whole Hog come out for FaZe right there. Didn't get a whole lot because the Whole Hog came out during a Transcendence, hoping for it to fade, but Shore4 also ice blocked his way through it, so they didn't get anything out of it. Countered then by Mendo's Whole Hog, which got them all in a strange position. Graviton to follow it up, so it's simply just getting more out of your ultimates for Cloud9. Got them the better of that fight over FaZe.
Alrighty, so we do see FaZe resetting here once more. 1:25 left in the clock here, so if they use Sound Barrier here and don't get what they're looking for, this map could very well end right here, right now. So FaZe, a lot on the line here for this particular push. Shadowburn now off the Genji onto the Reaper. So, I don't know, this is a really good opportunity for C9 and hold here. They're down Blizzard. In FaZe themselves, you take a look at how things are going, they're being very tentative about how they want to push in. Sheer4 picks off 2easy, and now at 5v6, I think FaZe just has to wait for 2easy and then go all in on one final push.
I think they had 2 options, and now they're slowly running out of options. They could have gone in with a junk rush and hoped to get a nice big push at the end with Grego and Raucus's ultimates, which is now what they have to do. They do end up baiting out the other ultimate from the Ana side, too, so they will be going in with that advantage. I think that's kind of what they were looking for. It's why they were playing a little bit passive. They didn't want to just go in with Grego's ult and kind of go all in on that. Now look at the ultimate advantage. This push is going to be much better than what they had lined up previously.
It will be much better because they will have the nano boost. They'll be able to throw it on Shadowburn or Factor Fiction, either one they want. And the way Factor Fiction is playing, I almost feel like you throw it on Factor Fiction, despite what a Reaper can do with it. You'll have Sound Barrier to go along with it. Graviton coming out. 15 seconds left, though, so they will have to make their move fast. And here they go. Sound Barrier coming out here from Grego. FaZe all in now on this push. Factor Fiction, not the one to get the nano boost, just rolling in, but still, it's 4 kills coming out from FaZe. They are able to break the C9 defense right at the end. And they should be pulling this to the next checkpoint. It would take a really Herculean moment of stalling here from Surefour, and fortunately, just way too outnumbered.
Yeah, Rolf had an ambitious Transcendence. They're trying to bring it back. They thought if they could nail a Transcendence and get a beautiful Blizzard in, now they're going to still rotate in here as the tanks come back to life for this Cloud9 team. Earthshatter's bound from both sides, but it is still mostly FaZe cleaning up. Rib with a valiant effort.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Rib making the most of it. Surefour actually able to get in towards the end, so this is a case where I don't know if Rib just versus the world should have gotten 3 kills there. Surefour, though, trying to pile onto his sacrifice, will get taken out, and it will be FaZe getting the checkpoint. That was closer than it probably should have been there for C9 retaking that, just given how few people they are working with.
Now, a couple of the FaZe tanks did get these forward spawns, but able to retreat and get out of there on time despite the very deep chase from 2easy's Tracer. They are going to be able to have a couple of nice DPS ultimate. Surefour busting out the 76. We've seen him dominate this stage of the map in particular with 76.
We absolutely have. This is a callback to the gold days. Of course, Surefour immediately getting taken out, so we'll see how much it actually works out, or if he even stays on 76 after the next spawn.
I'm not a young
But for now, he's staying on the 76. You know, perhaps a little bit of prepping here for the next patch. Mendo able to take out 2easy and buy a little bit of extra time here for C9, and we'll see if Surefour mixing in 76 here is going to be effective, which would be cool to see because really this has not been the best time for 76 for a whole lot of reasons in general on this patch.
He and Shadowburn are dueling up top, but Shadowburn gets the benefit of the Zarya shield, able to take Surefour off the top of the shuttle. He might still come back on it. It's going to depend if his team is able to hold this position here, but here comes Shadowburn or the Death Blossom.
Shadowburn just goes right in, takes down Wolf, going now for the Ana. Get the double kill here, and just, you think about it, he got the kill on Surefour to start things out as well. Just all sorts of Reaper plays being made by Shadowburn, and as a result, FaZe now in a good position to get through Hangar. They're going to get through Hangar and have plenty of time left to finish out the map. 2.5 minutes. They can definitely do this, and yet, on the same note, you think about how teams have held here on the last for C9, or last on Gibraltar, it's not necessarily all lost here for C9 either.
This time they did get those spawns again and were punished for it as Mendo and Rolf get picked off immediately with those forward spawns. A little bit rough there. Last time Kaikai did throw down a kind of a late Graviton where his team was distracted trying to deal with Shadowburn, who had just rotated into room, so they weren't able to clean that up. However, they only had to burn a couple ultimates there. Surefour on the McCree, it's what they usually use to bring it back.
All right, Graviton is out here from FaZe. Factor Fiction with the nano boost doesn't get anything of it, just had to be pushed back because of the whole hog, but gets the 4-man Earthshatter, looking for it, sets his team up for 2 kills. As FaZe right now, still in a pretty good position. They are slowly picking apart the remaining members of the C9 defense. Shadowburn gets that backline, and it's Rolf taking him out before the Dragon Blade can come out, but still, momentum-wise, everything in favor of FaZe right now.
Rolf is going to try his best, but he has a very small health pool. A nice hook onto the Diva there to prevent the stall out from 2easy, just taking him out of position to even delay that map. That is going to be FaZe taking the first map.
And that might be a little bit of a heartbreaker there because C9, you think about it, they were 15 seconds away from getting the hold on first.
Yeah.
So C9 arguably kind of let this one get away from them where they could have shocked FaZe with that early defense.
Conversely, FaZe was about 20 seconds away from holding first too until their desperation Surefour play of the game. This might be it, yeah. They would not have used this combo in any other situation except that it was the last push, because before this Dragon Blade went off, they'd lost 3 players immediately before it. But backs against the wall, they had to use the Ana boost onto Surefour's Genji. There are worse people to put the Ana boost on than Surefour's Genji. He was able to clean it up and get through that. But both teams struggling through first, only able to get it on their final pushes.
All right, so what we're going to do here, we'll be back with Slasher's thoughts on this in just a moment. We are going to restart the stream. Okay. Just even though I'm pretty sure it's the general internet, I at least want to rule out everything here because people are still complaining and all the rest. So if it's not just if there were issues, they are fixed. Unfortunately, I double-checked everything on my end. I don't think it was originating from this end, so it might just be the internet is having a bad day. Hopefully that's not the case, but these things can and do happen. Esports wouldn't be esports without wide-scale Sombra attacks.
Well, it's the E in esports. We are still slaves to our electronics here, our electronic components, but we are in the lobby already for Hollywood. We gave players a chance to reset their routers if they were having issues, and we're ready. We're just going to jump right into Hollywood with Cloud9 trailing FaZe 0-1 in this best-of-3 set.
So, we didn't get too much of a chance to ask you, Slasher, what you thought of the last round, but what do you think of Surefour's 76 there? Because I feel like if he had gone McCree or just something a little bit more solid, they would have had a better time.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, we've seen Soldier be such a big, powerful force in the middle of Gibraltar that it's not necessarily a bad pick. Also, you're able to get to the hangar phase faster and get on top of the ship quicker, but dealing with a Reaper bubbled on top, you're pretty much always going to lose that one-on-one, and that was allowed Shadowburn to ult on top of the ship and then get a pick onto Adam, and that's what opened up the hangar phase. So probably McCree would have been the better choice. I don't think that's the reason they lost the map, though. I mean, they both held first point almost to the very end. Cloud9 put themselves in the best possible situation to win the map, but both teams let the hangar phase go really quickly. On FaZe's end, it was probably pushing the first point at the end too much and giving up too many frags to let the hangar phase go through. And on Cloud9's end, when you don't have Lucio, you run the risk of not being able to speed back to the point and to be able to get as many team fights as you want to. So I think that after they lost the hangar phase, they just didn't have enough time to really set up a good enough defense on third point.
They also got a little bit unlucky on their spawns a couple different times, too. I know there's a lot of players who don't necessarily love how the spawn system works, and Gibraltar is one of the most glaring examples of getting stuck in a tough spawn, because there were a couple times where they died simply because of where they ended up spawning there.
If nothing else, I feel like the escape rooms should have some sort of just temporary or like route out of it for people that are still stuck in spawn. Just some extra escape tunnel or something, so you're not having to go out and just go, oh, now this is happening. But speaking of what is happening, the defense for FaZe is underway. For Cloud9 is underway, and you take a look at Mendo right now. Mendo repping the Roadhog here. Going to be looking for those early defensive picks, but 2EZ for FaZe is on the offensive hog.
Yeah,
so it's going to be a tale of Mendo and 2EZ, or something that we've seen time and time again here in Overwatch.
Beautiful hook takes some Shadowburn, but he does get a really nice shield from Forsaken, who's been clutch on his allied shields throughout the last couple of days. Another hook from Mendo onto 2EZ is not going to find any purchase, as Factor Fiction is the first to die here.
Both Roadhogs trying up hooks, but it is more in favor of FaZe right now. They've gotten a little bit more momentum here. They've been pushing C9 back, and C9, they're going to have a hard time bringing this back. Their best chance here, Adam has a nano boost up. He's going to be throwing it on Reinhardt, and here comes Rib, moving right in on... No, it didn't go on Rib. I don't know who actually got the nano boost there.
Well,
he was definitely aiming for it.
Shadowburn gets it from the other side. He gets knocked down immediately. It does completely negates all the effects of it, but the fear of a Shadowburn on a boosted Reaper is real. They do throw in the Blizzard late here. This should be FaZe all, but it's over but the crying now. As Mendo's in, Wolfa's going to try to come in and delay, but might get hooked out here.
And that will be FaZe taking the first point relatively quickly here against C9. And now, so he was definitely angling to put the nano boost on Rib. Who did the nano boost end up going on there?
I want to say maybe it hit Mendo. I'm not entirely sure. I wasn't paying attention to that one in particular. They are switching things up. The Surefour is going to come up onto a fair. One of the reasons that, I mean, you see teams just throwing bodies at the point now, even when the point is lost, and I think a part of that is because they don't want these forward spawns either. Because if you die in a weird situation, you end up in this kind of weird spawn where you can get picked off that's on the right side. So teams will throw bodies onto the point, knowing that they can reestablish as a group all in the same spawn afterwards.
And here comes Graviton coming out here for Forsaken, getting get two members of C9 in to start things out. C9 thrown a little bit back, and Shadowburn not wasting any time. Nano boosted right in with the Death Blossom. Got 0 kills off of the start things out. Finally does find Kai as C9 having conceded a lot of space to the FaZe, and FaZe will be picking up the picks they need in the end.
So far, this fair has been rather ineffective, and it's hard to do when your team is already losing heroes, so that he does dodge the hook. They are taking the high ground. There it goes. There's some effectiveness as Surefour, Mendo, and Wolf combined to equalize things, and now they're going to have the advantage as 3 go down quickly for FaZe. They're going to be on the chase here, and Short4 really doesn't have to worry about a whole lot. As long as he dodges hooks, he'll be fine.
And here's the key, is that how long is it going to take for a change up here? And we have the immediate change up coming in. Although it's a little bit weird. I mean, Shadowburn, I imagine he's not a total slouch on hit scan characters, but you'd think that you'd put Too Easy on that instead. He's usually who takes up the role there, so they're not necessarily putting their absolute best hit scan player on Shore4 duty, but at the very least they're recognizing that they do need something to deal with the Pharah, and that something for now is going to be Shadowburn on McCree.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see. As you mentioned, Too Easy would be that player, but he actually lived through that, so he was not able to get back to spawn to redo it. So there's kind of improvising right now and making do with what they have. We'll see how Shadowburn's McCree does fare, but Short4 can be a terror on this Pharah. They have almost every ultimate up, and now they have to worry about resurrections too.
Too Easy, able to move in there, does take out Shore4. Just sort of worked his way up, caught him off guard, gets a hook on the Mendo, and it's Too Easy right now, really opening the way for FaZe. Sound barriers up for them, pushing C9 back more. C9 lucky to come out of that with only 1 loss to begin with, and C9, they're giving a lot of space to FaZe. Shore4 is going to be back sooner rather than later, and now Kai will have a chance here with the Graviton. Graviton get pulling 3, Shore4 in over the top, here comes the barrage, and that is going to be a clean 3K for Shore4.
He knows he's going to die there too. When you're playing against a top-level McCree and you hit Q, you're just hoping that you can kill more people before you actually die. Wolf adds in a 3K of his own. We've talked about the power of Wolf on this Zenyatta. He's always been very good on the DPS. They're 3Ks, and they still have to worry about every time you gotta kill Adam in these fights, or you're gonna have to kill them twice. And Adam really made his name just based on great positioning on Mercy and on Zenyatta both. So Adam is the key to these fights to try to take him down before he can get the res off. He's about to have res at the ready.
One thing, by the way, just because I was monitoring the tech issues at the same time, so a little bit multitasking, but if people are selling stream issues, please let it be known chat-wise. Hopefully the restart fixes it. If not, there's nothing we can do, but just so you guys know, we were monitoring the problem. But taking a look here at the top, FaZe, 4 ultimates in their ult bank right now. Forsaken holding on to that Graviturn, and Shadowburn go open things up here at the Deadeye. But while that goes on, Rockets falls, so both teams down to support. It's going to be 5v5. And Shadowburn landing some good shots here on the Shore4, definitely keeping the Pharah back and showing that, you know what, he's not just a projectile DPS player, he can go on to McCree in a pinch.
Stone Wolf there. Rib was taken out Factor Fiction as he tried to charge in through that Graviton, unable to do so. It is brawly down there, but right now FaZe getting the better of it as Too Easy goes off on his whole hog. He's looking for more. He needs to find Adam, does not find him in time.
I know we like talking about Too Easy as being a streaky player, a player that has his good days and bad days. Right now, at least, it feels like this is one of Too Easy's better days. He's been having some great pickoffs on Roadhog. He's been creating a lot of space here for FaZe. But C9, they're able to bend a little bit back. They're coming back into this fight. Shore4 now, Mercy on the way, takes down Rockets with 2 well-placed rockets, and Shadowburn's been doing an okay job of suppressing Shore4, but it hasn't been complete as Shore4 takes over that fight at the very last moment.
Well, that was a 1 fight for FaZe if they found Adam. He was hiding just on the other side of the wall in the Pioneer Hotel. Not Too Easy, can't see through walls, but had he pivoted 90 degrees, they take out Adam and deny that res and probably get this point. So that is the power of this Mercy. They recognize the power of this Mercy. They're going to run their own combo now. Too Easy now onto the McCree to deal with it. Shadowburn takes up the mantle as his own Pharah, while Rockets will support him as Mercy.
All right, and time's running out. Shore4 just takes down Shadowburn with a beautiful rocket right to the gut. And the rest of C9 going to be piling on this Rib on the Grego. Shore4 on the flank. 4 kills here from C9, and unfortunately for Factor Fiction, his team is dead all around him. Shore4 got finished off with the barrage. Not even necessary towards the end, but his time is running out. Why not finish it out with style?
I mean, you know, you have to deal with Shore4 and Adam. You have to do something. I know putting Shadowburn on McCree is the right answer to go to, but as you mentioned, he's not the hit scan player for FaZe. I mean, you should be putting Too Easy on the hit scan. You should be going to Zen. Of course, Ana could be dealing with the Pharah, but if Ana's dealing with Pharah, then Ana's not healing as much, and Ana's focusing on trying to snipe his. And really, they weren't able to find Adam. Adam stays alive, rests Shore4 twice. They have no ability to get high ground or shut Shore4 down.
I will say, Shadowburn, you are sombering into the ether right now. I'm not sure if that's internet stuff. It's probably internet stuff given everything that's going on tonight. But I will touch on something you just brought up there, which is interesting because I agree, is that even though Ana is a character that you'd look at and go, oh, you have an Ana, you have extra insurance against the Pharah. Yes and no. you do in the sense that you can focus on the Pharah and try and take her out and sort of work as another DPS, but if you're doing that as Ana, you're giving up a lot of her big healing throughput on your tanks, on the rest of your team, because of all the focus you have on the Pharah, so it doesn't come without a cost.
Right. I feel like it's exemplary of a trend I've been seeing lately, and perhaps it's because Pharah was a bit out of the meta for a while, but when teams see a Pharah combo, they don't take it seriously enough. And that's from not switching to heroes correctly, not switching on time. I think if FaZe was taking that threat of the Pharah in the air very seriously, they rotate all the way back. You send Too Easy back and you put him onto McCree right away. They're like, oh, it'll be fine. We'll just run Shadowburn on the McCree and it'll be okay. And it wasn't. And I think that there's a lot of times where teams are like, well, we'll deal with it with just whatever we have. And you either have to completely prioritize the Pharah threat or ignore it completely, one or the other. This halfway in between stuff that teams are doing does not work out for them. And you can't simply let Short4 go untouched throughout the air for the most time. Like, you can switch to your own combo, you can switch to a McCree, but I still feel in general teams are not taking the threat of the Pharah combo seriously enough.
They definitely aren't, and you take a look at how this is starting out here. Short4 again on the Pharah doesn't have to worry about too much on the defense. Shadowburn can throw some shurikens at him. Too Easy can grab him if he's not being super cautious, but other than that, Short4 is relatively clear skies here, and this is going to be a problem here for FaZe as they try and defend this.
Well, here comes Too Easy rotating up the stairs. He does this every single time on this map on defense. He loves coming up these stairs, trying to catch someone off guard, but they do react to it in time, able to boost out of there. Still bloodless on this first battle.
It's bloodless, but you take a look at C9, they're slowly getting better positioning as they rotate onto the point. Rib right now almost on top of it. Too Easy still looking for pickoffs, not able to get them yet. Ends up getting knocked down and isolated. So now at the 65, C9's in a much better position to push this in, as Short4 will have one less threat that he even has to worry about.
It doesn't matter what hero he's on. He always rotates up those stairs, always looks for picks. Now when it works, it looks brilliant. When it goes like that, he's putting his team in a bad position. He does it consistently on Hollywood defense. Teams have got to have picked up on this by now.
He's moving in, and again, it's Factor Fiction still being a rock here for FaZe. Even as things are all going down, he's still able to get pickoffs, and Short4, he's going to fall, but it's too little too late here for FaZe. They're just way outgunned, way outnumbered on the point, and for them, they're just going to have to back out and look for a better hold on second. And the upside for them is that they recognize it early, so they will be able to get on the rooftops on second and maybe get good positioning. But C9, they're not wasting time either in trying to contest this.
Well, Pharah always gives you that great positional advantage, especially on a map like Hollywood. You can go in there right away and bring two heroes with you because you're going to have the Mercy able to get up there as well. So there's very few times where you're not going to be able to take at least first roof when you're running a combo and the other team is not.
And Short4 right now just content to lay in rocket after rocket, keep the backline of FaZe a little bit just disheveled here. They don't have a good answer for it. Yeah, I mean, they do have Too Easy on the McCree. Hasn't really pressured Short4 too much yet. Nano Boost Genji coming into the backline. Yet to get a kill, just getting knocked around, but he does connect in the end. Picks up two, and is going to be looking for more, so C9 came close to deal with that Nano Genji, but not close enough. It's really hard to keep Shadowburn out under normal circumstances, let alone when he has a Nano Boost fueling him as well.
Shadowburn's a player that you can't control. You can only hope to contain him. You're not going to be able to shut down Shadowburn's Genji for an entire round, so sometimes you just have to deal with, like, just eat it, just accept the fact that Shadowburn's going to do that to you, so they're not going to make any drastic changes around that either. They're going to continue to run the same thing. Barrage and Graviton coming together.
It is a combo coming out from C9 to try and turn things back in their favor. It's not a bad response in FaZe, though. They take out Mendo in the midst of it. They don't lose everyone that's putting the Graviton. We'll see, though, as C9 still is applying the pressure. Short4 looking for Raucus, will be taking him out, and just like that, C9 has bought themselves space in FaZe. It takes a while to run back from spawn here. They're going to have to contest this more towards the point than anything else, as C9 has the momentum to keep them pushed back.
Talking about Shadowburn's elusiveness, you're not going to hit him with rockets. He just is a dancer on that Genji. They've been shooting at him for the last 10 seconds, not even come close to splash damaging him yet.
Honestly, Genji versus Pharah is kind of a weird fight to begin with. Neither is really great at shooting the other, but Short4 going in on Too Easy, not even caring about his counter, taking him out first, gets rid of the problem, looks for Raucus, picks up the double kill, and gonna go for the barrage on Fisher, ends up picking up 3. And still, as you look at this, they're so close to taking this map. C9 only needs a little bit more. Shadowburn must get another kill that actually takes this, but no, he will get taken out. The rest is going to come in from Adam, and C9 going to be taking Hollywood and evening up the series 1-1.
mentioned how Too Easy can be a bit of a streaky player. We saw the bad side of Too Easy there, from dying very early on his Roadhog to, you know, he was the big threat for Pharah for the most part. He switched onto his McCree. He had 2 lives where he got very little done, tried to Deadeye, ended up falling down and getting Earth Shattered. There came out late with no support or assistance and got bodied immediately by Shore4's rockets, and then Shore4, knowing he just killed his biggest threat, continues to fly unhindered, nails another barrage. Too Easy, not the greatest round for him. I'm sure he would agree.
Too Easy, it's weird because he definitely had points where he was playing really well in Hollywood and then points where not so well. Just, I don't know. It's a Too Easy experience at this point, but look at that. Now, it does include shield damage, which Afera shoots a lot, but that's still a boatload of damage coming out from Surefour, where, again, I don't really think FaZe had the best answer for it. I would have liked it more if they went to a full-on McCree Zen just to deal with it rather than relying more on the Ana, because as we were talking with Slasher before, just before going into this round, you do suffer a bit when you have Ana try and pick up the slack in that situation.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to agree. You saw rockets going on to Zen at the end of Gibraltar just to be able to deal with Surefour on Genji. Why not take that same premise into the Pharah Mercy here? Because you're not only dealing with the Pharah on the Zen, you're also being able to discord Mercy when, if everyone doesn't remember, Find the Mercy was a meta for like 3 months, and Mercy being able to hide inside the green room was one of the big reasons that they were able to hold on that second point for Cloud9. So I do not think the FaZe really addressed the Pharah Mercy problem as much as they can, and if you're Cloud9, maybe you go with that approach a little bit. Of course, Too Easy is a way to be so confidently and prominently, but as I think you touched on it,
I was gonna say, he is still really, you're fading out of existence right now, Slasher, is the only problem. I'm gonna try recalling real quick, see if that fixes anything. Actually, Hex, can you end the call and recall? Just, I don't know, internet things.
Hey, why not?
All right. So we're going to try and fix some of that. Like I said, it's been an awful day for the internet in general. Just all sorts of weird stuff going on. Dorado, though, will be our 3rd and final map coming up here. And we'll see which team between C9 and FaZe reigns supreme. Remember, this is the upper bracket, so even if one of these teams gets knocked out here, which of course one will, they will get their chance to fight their way through the lower bracket. So a lot of Overwatch still to come for both of these teams. We are rejoined now by Hex and Slasher. How are you guys?
Let's try this again.
You're sounding better.
One more time. You know, Too Easy is a hit or miss player right now, and he is playing on high ping, and he does get frustrated quite often. I think it's a big reason that we've seen him on Roadhog a lot in the last week or two. And maybe if you're Cloud9, you keep going to the Pharah Mercy because you're okay. If you take one Shadowburn off of Genji, that's always a big win. He's not going to be on Reaper, and you don't have to worry about the Ana Reaper combo. And 3, if you see Shadowburn and McCree, you're thinking, well, that's not too bad, to be honest. And maybe you put Too Easy in the position to make the plays and not Shadowburn.
Yeah, I completely agree. You made a point earlier that I've been saying for a bit now. It's kind of interesting that teams, when they see a Pharah and Mercy, say, we need to switch someone to deal with a Pharah. But Mercy's always an afterthought in that equation, too. You have to understand it. It's very simple math. They have 2 heroes. You need to spend 2 heroes to be able to equalize that and spend the same amount of resources. So you can't just run a McCree out there or run a soldier out there and say, all right, problem solved. Our 1 hero is going to be able to deal with this 2-hero combination. You need to run a Zen. You need to have 2 heroes to go on 2 heroes. It's simply numbers. You're really playing with fire when you send a McCree out there and say, hey, you're going to deal with this all by yourself.
So I will say I think there's a caveat there where I don't think teams are as willing to go to this because, well, it's a lot of reasons. It's been out of the meta for one and all the rest. But I think if you're running McCree, you're absolutely right. You do need to throw Zen out there with McCree, or at least give the McCree a lot of TLC as far as healing goes. Otherwise, the McCree will get outpoked by the Pharah and will end up dying despite some of his natural advantages in that matchup. The other option that teams have really been hesitant to go to, but really might be quite good, is what about running a Widow in those situations where the Widow, obviously if the Pharah is up in the sky with the Mercy, neither of them are getting protected by shields. Those are open sightline shots that a Widowmaker could in theory be taking to take those people out. And there was a time in Overwatch history where, granted Widow was more powerful back then, people would go to Widow in an instant. People still aren't all that comfortable about snap picking Widow to deal with something like a Pharah, although you don't even see Pharah all that much now until really the last few weeks of tournament play.
I think you may have seen it even on defense there from FaZe had they not gotten pushed so far back after that first push. The problem was they weren't even able to get out of their spawn because Shore4 was so far ahead, so you really never would be able to get in a position as a Pharah. But that map is neither here nor there. This is a map we've seen a little bit of Pharah on, so Rib's going to stay up here and protect his buddy who gets slept. They need to bail out of there pretty soon here.
They do indeed. Shadowburn applying the pressure early on. Again, you take a look at a Genji's goal in these sorts of situations. The main thing is building ultimate up as much as possible. Shadowburn, one of the few Genjis that can get pickoffs out of nothing without an ultimate, but still very deadly when he gets the ult up. And any Genji poke, you have to realize, even if it gets healed up, you are feeding the Genji to something worse. So that is Shadowburn's main prerogative here as he space jumps off into the right.
So they are going to try to rotate around 2 stairs. Mendo is on the stairs duty watching. The wall does come in pretty late. Forsaken finds himself in a bad position, though, as he's going to get frozen, hooked, and killed.
Mendo with that first pick off on the Forsaken, but Shadowburn too easy, coming right in. Shadowburn off the flank, too easy from the front. It's 2 kills here from FaZe, and Shadowburn just leisurely laying in the damage of Mendo, building up his ultimate. The tanks for C9 are all out of sorts right now, and this is looking very good for FaZe on their first Dorado push.
Yeah, that's a ton of kills from Too Easy and Shadowburn, who DPS going off, and even though Raucus got frozen, it was very much too late to be able to capitalize on that. First push looking really good, and second push is in position to be really well done as well, because they're going to have every ult at the ready here, aside from Graviton, but everything else about ready to go.
Is going to be ready to go, and the one thing that Shadowburn will have to watch out for now, Shore4 is on the McCree. That's a case where, in terms of matchup, Shore4 can definitely shut down most of your Genjis in the game, so Shadowburn will have to be careful of it. But if he gets supported here with the Nano Boost, it's still going to be a tough nut for C9 to crack, and that's very likely where this is heading. It's a Nano Boost Dragon Blade. And there it goes. Shadowburn is going in, has the Nano Boost, takes out 2 immediately, deleting them off the map, looking for more, has the 3K, not yet sated, and this is going to be a whole lot of extra momentum coming in from the side of FaZe.
The position he gets himself into so quickly, he's dueling in the back lines. Shore4 does
How did Shore4 not die there? I mean, it's still, FaZe still gonna be able to push this up, but oh my goodness.
He gets in there so quickly. He just hit Q, just got the boost, and then in one swipe with the sword took out both supports in the back line. Too Easy. It's a little bit aggressive over there in the back lines on Tracer. But yeah, you cannot say enough about Shadowburn's Genji. You simply can't. The way he uses positioning, the quickness in which he strikes, it seems to catch teams off guard.
It absolutely does, and there's not a lot of margin for error there in dealing with a Genji that's hyper fast, doing lots of damage, and has Dragon Blade out. It's very difficult to deal with. I think one of the few ways of dealing with it, aside from a Miracle Sleep Dart, would be just holding your Earth Shatter for it, but Earth Shatter takes a while to build up. You're not always going to have it. Shore4, though, doing a good job of just maintaining high ground here for C9. Picks off Too Easy early, does a lot of damage to Shadowburn. Soundbearer comes out pretty late here from FaZe, and Shore4, not to be denied with the Deadeye, picks up an extra 2. And this is going to be a full hold here from C9, where, again, Shore4's positioning and patience really paying off.
Similar to when we see Shadowburn on the Genji is the games that FaZe looks best in. The games that Cloud9 has looked best in over the last few days has been Shore4 on the McCree. He's showing you why. He won a duel he almost had no business winning in the backlines not too long ago, and then getting a quality Deadeye, which are somewhat rare at the highest level of Overwatch right now. However, they are going to have another Dragon Blade up, and a Graviton into Dragon Blade is something we don't necessarily see that much anymore, but you can really do a ton of damage to a team you hit that combo.
Absolutely. Everyone that's taking the Graviton will almost certainly die. Shadowburn, though, going in, and oh my goodness! Shore4, the immediate shutdown, having none of Shadowburn shenanigans, and just like that, those 2 ultimates for the side of FaZe not going to do what they're looking for, and it's a big opening here for C9 to take control once more.
Shore4 is playing so well on this McCree, and I think that is one of the strongest answers to pretty much everything that Shadowburn has in his arsenal. He plays a Genji, he plays a Reaper. McCree's a pretty solid answer to both, as long as you're not getting your flashbang deflected at you. A player like Shore4 knows how to work around that. Too Easy, recognizing that his Winston play is not necessarily getting them what they need done, is going to switch on the McCree, and all the tactics are changing as Shadowburn switches off the Genji onto that aforementioned Reaper. They're not going to be trying to take this high ground anymore. I think they're going to try to sneak around right side, knowing that their angles have not been working out all that well. Too Easy gets the memo late, is going to be late to join his team.
Well, I think the clear thing here is that they do have to get on Shore4. He has to be priority number 1. Easier said than done when he has the ability to just land a good flashbang and take you out for diving on him. But still, he's been the one that has just been stymieing these pushes more so than anything else. Just shutting down Shadowburn to the point that Shadowburn isn't even on Genji anymore. That's how terrifying it's been, and Share 4 get opened up with the Deadeye. Rest of C9 applying pressure as a result, and FaZe has to be really careful with how they pull out of this building here. They will have nano boost on someone, but not a whole lot else. I mean, maybe give the game to Factor Fiction. That's what they're doing. Nano boost on the Factor Fiction. Has Earth Shot ready. Ends up getting countered here as C9 picks up 2 quick kills.
Grego doing his best to keep his team alive again with another really clutch sound barrier, but a little bit too late as the damage has already been done, and now they're in that mode where they're both going to be discorded and hunted down. Grego is still alive, trying to keep himself out of the fray, not able to do so. The only kill they picked up for FaZe was onto Kai, who's actually been an issue, might be one of the reasons rather that Shadowrun has switched to the Reaper, as Kai has been all over them, just doing damage and getting out alive as Winston, being a very annoying scientist at the moment.
Well, this is going to be FaZe's last attempt to get to the final stage here on Dorado. And they've just been really troubled getting through here. It's a point where, again, they had to stop playing the Genji. Share 4 gonna open this up here with the Deadeye. Doesn't get what he's looking for. Will crack the Rhine shield if nothing else. And here comes FaZe. Last attempt at the ready. They're gonna have to deal with 2 support ults, though, so easier said than done.
Too Easy does use the Deadeye to zone out. It is a zoning ult, and that's not even sarcastic. They do end up getting some good push through the archway, but here comes Kai trying to collapse on them, being very annoying as that Winston yet again is short for. Continues to rein in the damage. Takes down Rockus to start this fight.
Takes out Too Easy, takes out Rockus. Sure 4 was just completely unstoppable the moment he swapped to that McCree, and not even Shadowburn's Genji had an answer to it. In fact, he went to McCree in part to shut down the Genji, and mission accomplished.
I mean, what do you say? It's like he really did do that, and then it's like, okay, well, I'll also kill the rest of the team every time and use my ult effectively every time. And once they got control of Bridge, it's just so difficult for FaZe really to regain any of that. And I think kind of the unsung heroes, we haven't talked a whole lot about the tank play, but really Kai and Winston was being so difficult for Cloud9 to get any of the space and control, especially of high ground. And Rib has been playing a fantastic game for Cloud9, really making himself into the team.
So you're gonna have to tell me here, just I'm still checking chat the selects to make sure there's no crazy tech issues going on. And everyone's just saying casting question mark.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Well, you know, you gave an appreciation thread to our good friend Uncle Swag, so I have faith that if something's actually going wrong, that he will be a kind person and whisper us that something's going wrong. Till then, I leave chat in Uncle Swag's very capable hands and just always assume that it's a bit trolling.
Yeah, that's just the most random thing to see. Like, Cassie is like, wait, what? Like, what happened? I don't think anything happened. In any case, though, C9 well positioned now to move this forward, take Dorado, and move forward to the upper bracket final. And you take a look at what they're going to be running here on the offense. Sure 4 on the Pharah. He's going to see if FaZe actually has anything that can deal with this. They will put Too Easy on the McCree, but with Nose and Yada in sight, I'm not sure this is going to be as effective as FaZe might want in dealing with this.
Rockus does change last second to Zenyatta, though, so it looks like they do have the tools and the kit to be able to deal with this. Now, they actually have kind of an overabundance of tools, because Shadowburn should be able to at least chip in on Shore 4 as well. But my big question with Shadowburn's Mei yesterday is his damage output where the other Meis in the game are. His walls and blizzards were just fine, but I felt like his damage output on Mei was a little bit lacking. We'll see if he can redeem himself here.
All right, so Adam's going to be attached to Share 4 here. And just normal poke going in. He's not going for any crazy fair flank as we've seen from time to time. Right now, he's just interested in clearing open the archway. And for now, it's successful. It pushes Reinhardt back. It's clearing out space. And C9 just taking their time in how they open this up.
Something a lot of newer Pharah players underestimate is that you don't have to really be in the sky the entire time. That rocket launcher is really good for clearing through chokes. Just imagine it as a Junkrat projectile that just goes in a straight line, and you can stay on the ground. Oh wow, Too Easy makes it known that he is ready to take down Short 4. Wow.
Well, Rockus did swap to that Zen, no longer on the Ana, and yeah, look at this. Share 4 says immediately, nope, I'm out. Goes to the McCree, is not going to run Pharah versus McCree Zen. That was the breaking point. So now, if you're watching this and looking at game film for how to deal with Share 4's Pharah, you switch to this composition to make him get off it. Not a full cure-all if you're not running it to begin with, but at least for now it has bought FaZe a pretty good early defense here.
Yeah, that was kind of just throwing bodies there so that they could get the resurrection off, but it might end up backfiring and feed a bunch of ults because they've just gotten 4 kills off of that strategy because they were forced to stay on to the Mercy. I think Adam's going to be switching the first chance he gets, but maybe he should have switched before. Trying to get value out of that resurrection completely backfired.
It absolutely did backfire, and you take a look at this now, FaZe with a good chance of turning the table. There's only 2 minutes and 15 seconds left here for C9. They don't have a hole on their ult bank. I mean, they're gonna have a Graviton up soon, but there's 2 support ults up here for FaZe. FaZe is very much in the driver's seat here, and for C9, now they're putting their faith in Sureforce Hanzo, hoping they can get a pick off to try and even things out, because even if you're at ult disadvantage, if you can start the fight 65, that's a big deal.
It's going to come down to these tank ultimates because the tanks are the only people on Cloud9 who haven't switched throughout this game. So they're going to have their ultimates at the ready. Mendo, Kaikai, Rib, all about to have those giant, enormous, impactful tank ultimates up. So can they get some value done on those is going to be the big question. A nice hook, but Shadowburn able to stay alive out of it. Short4 gets that entry kill you were talking about.
And that's a big deal. Grego was holding on to a sound barrier, so not only are they down 1, they're down a key ultimate. Kaikai got moving the Graviton, pulls in 3 people. Icefall going to be a big part of saving some degree of damage there, but the nano boost in, Rib fully all in, moving to the back line here at FaZe, and C9 finally getting what they were looking for.
They were 1 piece away from keeping that whole team alive, and that happened to be the sound barrier that they were lacking. They got Transcend up, they got the wall up, really nice to negate a lot of that damage. Had they had the shields, you probably keep a couple more people alive there. That is the impact of Sureforce Hanzo with that entry kill on Grego. Former Cloud9 Grego knows how deadly Sureforce can be, felt it firsthand there.
If Grego were still alive in that push, it's a completely different push. I think FaZe ends up holding that, but because Grego got picked early, didn't happen. And let me just tell you, by the way, in the back of my head, it is so terrible here because Grego was on C9 for the longest time, Mendo was on FaZe. Saying the right teams, it's rough right now, let me tell you. But let's take a look at Sureforce. He's going to use the dragon here, and that dragon comes from below, just devours too easy, opens up a big opportunity right now for C9, 65. Factor Fiction, though, firing right back, and Factor Fiction, again, still being the rock here for FaZe, ends up setting up for 2 kills, and it's going to let them hold from what was a quick early pick from Sureforce.
Forsaken on the cleanup crew gets 3 kills late, but I will give some credit also to Rock as his discords have been all over the place, just kind of firing them everywhere that they need to be. Now they're in a really good position here on their defensive hold. They're going to be able to rotate up to high ground exactly where you want to be. There's not going to be the dragon to knock them off the cliff this time. A couple support ults up for both teams, but they got to watch, as always, going to be Shadowburn. Can he get it done without the Ana boost as they've had to rotate onto the Zenyatta?
Well, before Ana was put into the game, Shadowburn was known for doing all sorts of work on Genji, so I think he'll be okay switching the hard mode for a little bit. It's still a big threat here, the C9. Unfortunately, though, for him, he's still dealing with the McCree, so... And not just any McCree, Sureforce's McCree. So he has to be careful about his approach. I think really he needs to make sure he goes in on Sureforce first and foremost, takes him out the first few slices and goes from there, but he's going to get knocked to the ground instead. Rib says, welcome to the turf. And unfortunately, though, for C9, they're not able to take out Sureforce or Shadowburn right away. And this is going to open Shadowburn to go for the Dragon Blade.
Very late.
I was going to say, go for the backline, but this is weird target selection coming out from him. Not at all what you want to look for. And Sureforce takes him out, takes advantage of the confusion. And as a result, C9 will get to the final point, and that is going to be it. And that was a strange final fight in many respects.
A little bit strange. I mean, desperation from Shadowburn having to bust out that ultimate, but he did it after 3 had already died. As you mentioned, the target selection was a little bit strange as well. He's just not been able to get as much done when Sureforce's been on this McCree anyway, despite this play of the game, despite his best efforts.
Take a look at this play of the game from Shadowburn, and yeah, it was rough, and this is where he got the double kill with the Dragon Blade Nano Boost. What you're not going to see here is he runs in the Sureforce towards the end of it and still gets bopped. So, yeah.
He's so quick. He just got so quickly to the back line, dashing through everyone, taking out both supports with 1 swipe. I mean, that is kind of partially why Ana boost on him is good. Not only the survivability, but getting that extra speed is a big deal.
It really is. And Slasher, what thoughts do you have on that game and what we just saw coming out here from C9? In particular, the crazy dominance going out from Sureforce on that McCree.
You know, we actually haven't talked about him a whole lot this series, but after a slow start, I think Mendo had a really big game 2, game 3. of this series. The hooks weren't really working for him so much on Gibraltar, but definitely here on Dorado and on the last map, he's been able to make things work. Between Roadhog and Zarya, he's really been able to shut down the core of the C9 team. I think especially because Forsaken has been playing Zen and the last like 2 months with Lucio, and him not really playing a whole ton of Zarya. We saw some mistakes even yesterday from Forsaken with his Zarya play and his Zarya ult usage. I think just even though Mendo hasn't himself probably played a whole lot of tanks, I think the synergy of him and Kai and Rib is just a little bit better than the FaZe core right now. And I think that because DPS players are kind of tight together in terms of skill, that was probably the edge for me and why Cloud9 was able to take it.
So, for those who are just wondering what we were